I call the meeting of the San Juan Unified District Board of Education to order. There are 3 closed session items on tonight's agenda. First, student enrollments in 2 cases, Education Code Section 48918 sub F. It'll be a couple minutes. Second, collective bargaining matters, discussion with negotiator Daniel Thigpen, Senior Director of Labor Relations regarding CSEA Chapter 127, General Operations Support, chauffeurs, teamsters, Local 150 transportation supervisors, teachers, and certificated supervisory units, and regarding non-represented groups, management and confidential units, Government Code Section 54957.6. And finally, personnel matters, superintendent search and public employee appointment / employment of the superintendent, Governor Code Section 54957. Do we have any speakers? We have no speakers. Therefore, we will now move to closed session and we will return to open session at 6:30. I call the meeting of the San Juan Unified District Board of Education back to order. The meeting is being audio and video recorded, and the recording may capture sounds and images of those attending this meeting. The recording will be posted on the district's website. Board meetings are being held in person in the boardroom at the district office, and the public is welcome to attend. Alternatively, the meeting may also be viewed on the district's YouTube channel, where it is being live streamed. Please stand for the presentation of the colors by the Del Campo High School Air Force ROTC.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Good evening and welcome. I am Michael McKibben, Board President. To my right is Ms. Zima Creason, Board Vice President. To her right is Ms. Pam Costa, Board Clerk. And to her right is Mr. Saul Hernandez and Ms. Paula Villasquez, Board Members. To my left is Superintendent Kern and to his left is Board Administrative Assistant Stephanie Cunningham. Individuals who are attending the meeting in person and would like to offer a public comment, we ask you that you complete a speaker request card available at the staff table, and you will be called upon at the appropriate time during the agenda. Please note that by Board Bylaw 9323, limiting the visitor comments to 2 minutes per speaker with no more than 30 minutes per single topic. Time will be extended for any speaker who uses an interpreter. Please be aware that public comments, including your name, become part of the public record. We now move to approval of minutes. Item D for September 13. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Is there a motion to approve the minutes for September 13?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Ms. Costa, seconded by Ms. Creason. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That was unanimous. We are now at item E1, recognition of the week of the school administrator, Mr. Oropalo.
Good evening, Dr. McKibben, President Dr. McKibben, Board Member Superintendent Kurt, Mrs. Cunningham. I'm here tonight to present the superintendent's recommendation that the board adopt resolution A-417 proclaiming October 9th through the 15th, 2022 as the week of the school administrator. Our administrators are being recognized for their dedication and outstanding work they perform on behalf of our students, staff, and community. They're amazing. They provide amazing learning environments, support quality education in our classrooms while advocating, encouraging, and assisting our students. At this time, I'd like to invite Damon Smith, the president of San Juan Professional Educators Coalition, and Laura Kanabi, the president of the San Juan Administrators Association, to come forward to accept tonight's resolution. If you guys will just have a seat, the board will take action.
Is there a motion to adopt resolution A-417 proclaiming the week of October 9 through 15th as the week of the school administrator?
So moved.
I heard Ms. Costa first and second by Ms. Fiasquez. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It is unanimous. Mr. Oropalo.
Thank you. On behalf of the cabinet, we'd like to thank both of you. And on behalf of the board and Superintendent Kern, this is the resolution. Is there anything you'd like to say to thank the board?
Yes, thank you for this recognition and as always for the unwavering support that we felt from the board. So thank you.
Thank you, and the same. We feel very supported. Thank you.
Are there any comments from the board? Yes, please.
Maybe. Yeah, I'd like to see you better. Just want to note, we're a little different. Sorry for being all awkward. Just appreciation. Our administrators have done a lot, coming out of the last couple of years and still moving through some changing times, we'll say. You had to become healthcare professionals. I mean, your job description just changed so much, but our administrators stepped up and got it done and supported the team to provide high quality education the best we could in really hard times. So just a note of appreciation.
Yes.
Also want to extend my thanks and gratitude. The last couple of years have not been easy, and I know you could just sense the feeling of excitement as we began the school year, sort of as close to normal as possible. But as I do my site visits, I know there's still a lot of challenges that have come out of the last few years. It wasn't just like flipping a switch and going back to quote unquote normal. And so every single day our administrators still wake up and come prepared to serve our students and tackle the many challenges that still face our sites every single day. And they do so with a smile on their face and ready to greet our children and create a warm, welcoming environment. And I'm very grateful. So thank you very much.
Yes, Ms. Costa.
I'd just like to add my thanks. I think being an administrator is one of the most challenging jobs possible. And that was before COVID. And COVID added a whole other dimension to it, and post-COVID has as well, if we really are at post-COVID. But our administrators go above and beyond to create a collaborative environment on their school sites and to be there for students and staff members and families. And so I really wanted to say thank you very much.
Thank you. Please convey our thanks to your fellow administrators and so forth, and we'll move on to high school student council reports. Item E2. Tonight, we will hear from the student representatives of Rio Americano High School and San Juan High School. First, we welcome, and let's begin with Tanner Schinderly and Lainey Shada. I think I'm close. Tanner and Lainey.
Thank you. Good evening, President McKibben, members of the board, Superintendent Kern, and Mrs. Cunningham. My name is Tanner Schinderly, and I'm the ASB president at Rio Americano High School.
And I am Lainey Shada, the ASB publicity at Rio Americano High School. We are honored to be here with you tonight. Rio has had many amazing things happen in the short time we have been back on campus. To start, this past week, we officially chartered 64 clubs that will be taking place on campus, which is more than we have had any year prior. Our band program had the honor of hosting and introducing Winston Marsalis, one of the world's greatest jazz performers who has won 9 Grammys. This is the only time Mr. Marsalis has ever performed at a high school, and we were honored to have it be at Rio.
Additionally, our medical and engineering buildings, which house our 2 CTE programs at Rio, are still under construction, but we are excited to unveil them as a part of our campus once they are complete. Some upcoming things we look forward to and invite the board to join include our homecoming week, October 10th through the 15th, where we hope to have over 1,000 students at this dance. We are currently hosting our voter registration drive this week, where we hope to get over 500 students registered and pre-registered to vote leading up to the 2022 midterm elections, because as research has shown, the younger we get people aware of elections, the more likely they are to vote in the future. Additionally, one of our big goals this year at Rio is to not only recognize the diversity on our campus, but also see it as our greatest strength as we continue to build a better and more inclusive community for everyone. We hope to cultivate a better community through cultural awareness weeks, student and staff recognition projects, as well as the creation of our student senate focused on hearing voices of a wide variety of students on campus and more. One of the sports teams we would also like to recognize is our girls volleyball team, who is one of the top in our league, and we root them on as they face Christian Brothers this Thursday to be #1. One of our major concerns we would like our district to look into is our school still does not have stadium lights or bleachers for our athletic field, which limits the events we can put on, as well as means we cannot have home football games, as well as other sports with fans like lacrosse, soccer, football, and track and field. This also means we cannot host our own graduation and other events we would be able to otherwise. The senior class alone is projected to spend over $20,000 on graduation that could have been spent on supporting our students in other ways if we would to have this facility available. The data used by our district stating that the neighborhood surrounding Rio doesn't want lights and seating is very outdated. And with an influx of new neighbors, we believe there is more support than currently believed. And we hope that the board will support new stands, lights, and a communication system, as well as our entire community, as we hope to be able to host more events on this field. Thank you for having our school speak today. And if there are any questions, we'd be happy to answer them at this time.
Comments, questions? Ms. Viasquez.
Thank you for the report and for being here this evening. Want to just also add that it was the highlight of probably my fall so far to be able to be at the jazz performance and the welcome the Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra with Wynton Marsalis. It was the best part was hearing the student orchestra participate and learning afterwards that there was a full day of sort of instruction from these literally world-class musicians that our students got to benefit from was so exciting. But more importantly, they pulled off some compositions by amazing artists, and they've only been working together for 3 weeks because school just started. So overall, it was just such a wonderful evening, and I think a great sense of pride for myself, but also really for the district to have such a world-class organization come literally to our backyard. And it's also a compliment, of course, to the program there and all of the wonderful students. And I also wanted to just say thank you and give extra kudos for the voter registration efforts that you provided an update on. Always important. Elections and participating in them are critically important. And so thank you for doing your part to make sure that student voice is lifted and that participation is increased. I really appreciate it. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you for the report. And it's always a pleasure to see you again, Tanner. And I look forward to seeing you more. A couple of things. I'm going to call out something that you did not call out, that you whooped on El Camino this weekend. And my family are Eagles. And so it takes a lot for me to say that, but good job. I mean, it was significant. You made people sad. But good job. Really, thank you for sharing the celebration of diversity. I always love to hear that. You know, we're all in this together. And loved hearing about the Student Senate. I know that there are many efforts going on to have students reach students, that kind of peer engagement, and so that there is a channel to uplift it at district and school site level. So it's great to hear that. If I could be of any help, I'm happy to do that. Hear you loud and clear about your stadium, and I'm happy to follow up with both of you about that. Because I think we've both been provided the same information, but happy to follow up and talk that out, and we can bring in the appropriate staff and facilities to talk it out with you too. Happy to do that. I think I'll leave that. I will say, I don't want to be too repetitive, but I was also able to go to the performance, and it was amazing. It was amazing. And I'm going to be 100% honest. I didn't quite understand what I was walking into, and I was so moved. I did not stop moving, the whole time. It was so wonderful. And the student performance was just next level. It was so good. And to be the opener for such a world-class orchestra. I was very proud to be a part of this district, and I have no musical talent at all. I like listening to it, but zero. So just watch, I was so close. You could just watch all the technical skill from the students and the others. So it's just wonderful. So great job. I hope that this year all the stuff is starting to happen again, right? So I could see in the reports and in your faces as you report that that's exciting. So I can't wait to see you again and see how things are going more mid-year.
Thank you.
I just wanted to mention, thank you for putting on the voter registration thing. Knowing that students now can start to register when they're 16 years old to register to vote, it makes it ideal for high schools to do what you're doing. So thank you very much for doing that, because that is the future. Second, I wanted to comment also on the jazz performance. One of the most amazing things that I learned about that is that they called us and asked to perform there, partially because of the things that Mr. Murray and the others have been doing for years and years. But to be, as far as we know, the first high school to have hosted something like that, certainly on the West Coast, if not all over, was really an amazing achievement. So congratulations to Rio, and what a great community event that is for that community. And finally, I want to also compliment on 64 clubs. One of the things that we're finding is that we're looking for ways for students to have voice, and 64 clubs means more leadership opportunities for your students and so forth. So I want to say congratulations to you on that. That really is helping us as a district reach that goal of getting more and more students to lead and to tell us what they want and what they think and what they need. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we would like to hear from Zubin Tagore and Ayana Williams of San Juan High School. Welcome, Zubin and Ayana.
Good evening, President McKibben, members of the board, Superintendent Kern, and Ms. Cunningham. We're student leaders on campus involved in various programs. My name is Zubin Tagore
And I'm Ayana Williams.
from San Juan High School.
Thank you so much for inviting us this evening to share about all the cool events that we have happening at our school. We have seen a lot of change and improvement this year with the addition of our new principal, Mr. Levis, and Ms. Bell, our vice principal. We have also, because of them, had a large decrease of students wandering the hallways during class time, which has led to more students being in class and getting more learning time. On top of that, we have implemented a 1-minute warning bell to remind students when to wrap up conversations and wrap up their lockers, everything they need to do to get to class on time. We recently have celebrated our honor roll students, which more than half of them had a 4.0 or better by getting ice cream and treats for them to honor all this hard work they've been doing while coming back from COVID.
This year, communication regarding the many student resources we have, such as tutoring, the wellness room, college and career center, and more, has improved since years prior. This is largely due to the student government and administration making an effort to utilize the PA system, emailing students and parents directly, and building a stronger social media presence to reach students more effectively. We just made a TikTok account. The peer judicial panel and restorative justice class are making a strong return after COVID put it to a halt. Restorative justice is a class that helps the students through personal reflection, which betters the school community and produces more engaged and involved members of society. PJP allows for student conflicts to be solved by their own peers, which has led to higher success rate due to it being more relatable coming from their own classmates.
This year, our athletic teams have started off strong. Last Friday, we won our football game against Western Sierra, 43-6, and our JV girls have won a volleyball game, two league volleyball games this recent Friday. We also have a total of 71 fall athletes, which is an increase from prior years. And of them, most of them have a 3.0 or better. Our athletic director, Coach Fred, has started an 8 a.m. study hall to help student athletes get more time in to study and balance their athletics with their school life as well. We also have implemented weekly grade checks for athletes. So on top of them keeping a 3.0 or better, we have implemented something to help them check in with their teachers. So make sure that they're on the right track to not only stay on the field, but graduate as well and get everything that they need done. We have our homecoming football game coming up against Esparto on October 14th. And we would like to invite you to that as well.
To kick off the school year, student government planned a successful club rush. We've seen the appearance of many new clubs, such as Entomology Club, and have seen an increase in student signups across the board. This year, Club Rush set a record for how many clubs were established as students have taken the initiative to start many of their own. Our school has many fun events coming up as we continue to bring our community together and strengthen our school pride. This week, we have a fun Friday during lunch where students can play team building games and listen to music with friends. We have a packed October with Spirit Week, Rally Day, and Homecoming quickly approaching. Following the homecoming game on Friday the 14th, this year's homecoming dance theme is Masquerade. As this will be our first homecoming dance since fall of 2019, we are very excited. Later in the month, we have an interactive murder mystery show in Drama Club, which we're also looking forward to. It's on the 27th, 28th, and 29th at 7 p.m. We would love to extend an invitation for you to attend that as well.
Thank you so much for inviting us this evening to tell about what's been going on at our school. We have the honor to be able to speak about what's happening and to let you know what's going on. So thank you so much for that.
Are there any questions or comments from board members? Ms. Vasquez?
A little bit of teamwork happening back here behind the scenes. Thank you both very much for the presentation and for the update on everything that's going on at San Juan High. I will say this is the first time I've heard a new bell schedule implementation complimented. So well done to the administration. That's a first for a report since I've been on the board, but appreciate the update, and also just both of you celebrating both the academic and athletic successes of your peers and putting that hand in hand. I really appreciated that. If I knew how to work TikTok, I would check out the TikTok, but I actually still haven't figured that one out yet, but I'm working on it. Loved also just hearing the report out on the increase in student resources and more raising awareness of a lot of that's been there. And not to put either of you on the spot, but I welcome a little bit more feedback on sort of what you've seen has been some of the most used resources or most successful resources that perhaps you or a peer that you've heard of might have benefited from so far.
On that note, I would like to say that the college and career specifically has helped a lot of us, especially me as a senior and not being the first in my family to go to college. They have like hosted college events for us and let us know how to assign for FAFSA. And it's been really helpful for me and like others. Most of the students at our school are first generation. So it has helped us to have someone to walk us through something that we've never done before. So I would say that's probably one of the most helpful that we've had so far. And this is the most students that have actually reached out to college and career to do that.
Thank you.
Mr. Hernandez.
Thank you so much for your report. I just have a quick question. You were talking about the restorative justice. I think that's the word you used. Then you said PJP. Is that what you said?
Yeah, that's the peer judicial panel.
Okay. What is that?
It sort of ties in with restorative justice, and it's a way for students to get involved and to be able to like to sort of mediate problems between students so that it's not always coming from teachers.
And it's heard by students themselves then?
Yeah.
Wow, it's outstanding. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lots of teamwork up here. Thank you for the report. That was wonderful to hear. I'm going to try not to be redundant. Loved what you said about the communication, trying new communication strategies to let folks know about the resources. And that's something I bring up a lot on the dais. Like, what can we do to better communicate? We do a lot, but we want to make sure everybody knows what there is, what we have to offer, right? So I would love to hear more, as you continue to grow your communication strategies, because I think a lot of schools, it could be a model, you might be doing stuff in a way that other schools could benefit from too. So all the students are getting more information. So that's great. Your social media presence, I have noticed because I am on Insta and I see a whole lot more from you and I like all your stuff. And so good job. I'm personally seeing it and I will help my colleague, Ms. Viesquez, because I personally love TikTok. It makes me very happy. Well, Facebook makes me very sad. So I encourage you to spend some time on TikTok and I will go find you very, very soon. Murder mystery sounds amazing. So please be in touch with Ms. Cunningham. We would love that information. I personally would love to go to that. And I won't be too redundant, but I really appreciated hearing the hand-in-hand sports and academics because both are so important. That was just really refreshing to hear both. So thank you so much. Oh, and congratulations on all your sports successes so far this year. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You need to come back. I'm going to expose my ignorance now one more time. What's entomology?
It's the study of bugs.
Bugs.
Yes.
You knew that?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay. I appreciate that. And because I said, I want to know that. I didn't. Thank you. I appreciate that. Again, thank you very much for coming up. Thank you for pointing out the things. I want to particularly note what you're pointing out in terms of how every student seems to have a hook. And indeed, for some of us, it was athletics and that sort of thing. But to tie athletics and academics the way that you're doing it is right on point. And thank you and Mr. Levis and all the rest of them for doing that. We appreciate you being here. And thank you. Now you can go back. We would like to thank you for your report and we appreciate you being here tonight. Student voice is very important to the board. You are welcome to stay for the remainder of the meeting, but we realize that you have homework and a busy life. So if you need to attend to that, this is a good time to return to other things that need your attention. Thank you very much for coming. We are now at items 3 through item E6. There are no reports from staff, board-appointed district committees, employee organizations, or other organizations. We now move to closed session. Ms. Costa.
The board voted unanimously to accept a hearing panel's recommendation of 2 denied enrollments in case numbers OM-02 and OS-01. In another action, the board has voted unanimously to select Melissa Bassanelli as superintendent of schools effective January 1st, 2023, pending final contract approval. Mrs. Bassanelli has served as the district's deputy superintendent of schools and programs since 2019 and has previously served in the positions of assistant superintendent of elementary and K-8 education, director of professional learning and curriculum innovation, director of extended learning and support programs, and as a principal and vice principal in our schools. Through the selection process, the board heard from students, parents and guardians, staff and community members about the importance of ensuring we invest in recruiting and retaining high-quality employees, provide rich academic experiences that are meaningful to our students, and continue our work to build an equitable culture and climate that values the voices of all in our community. The board was excited to find that Mrs. Bassanelli is prepared to meet these and other expectations with thoughtful new ideas leveraged by a deep understanding of our current systems and work. We look forward to welcoming her to our governance team as we work together to expand and improve our services to students and families.
No speech?
We now move to item F, visitor comments. Do we have any speaker cards?
We do have 2 speaker cards. The first speaker will be Stephanie Streitz. Hope I said that okay, followed by Quentin Levesque. You can correct me when you come up, sir. So first, Stephanie.
Stephanie, before you come up, I'm going to need to read something. I would like to remind the public that comments are limited to 2 minutes. The clock on the screen counts down the time. Under the Ralph M. Brown Act, the board is not allowed to comment on items that are not on the agenda. So we are not ignoring your comments. We just can't respond to any individual comments. The superintendent can refer items to staff who can follow up with you. Now, Stephanie.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Stites. I'm a mom to a first and second grader at Twin Lakes Elementary. I think it's great that we are offering breakfast for all our students, but I'm concerned about what we are offering, specifically related to the sugar content in a lot of the items. I would like to see breakfast items offered with less added sugar content. There's 2 types of sugars in food, naturally occurring and added. The American Association of Pediatrics and the American Heart Association guidelines state that children aged 2 through 18 should have a daily intake of no more than 25 grams of added sugar per day, while there is no limit to the natural sugars. Sorry, I'm nervous. For instance, a carton of white milk contains 15 grams of natural sugars with no added sugar. Looking at the district published nutrition facts for breakfast items served, things like the Marshmallow Mateys cereal, which is served almost daily, has 20 grams of sugar. However, there is no breakout of natural versus added listed in the table. When I look up the Mateys cereal nutrition on the manufacturer's website, 100% of the sugars is added. So the Marshmallow Mateys alone is 80% of the recommended daily intake for children. Another example is the cinnamon nata. It has 18 grams of added sugar, which is 72% of the recommended daily value. My main concern here is the fact that we are serving our children breakfast items that contain large amounts of added sugars, almost their entire recommended daily intake in a single item. This is not entirely clear when looking at the district published nutrition facts unless you break down the added versus natural in the items, which is not done. Oh. Again, I want to restate the fact that I think it's great we are providing breakfast for the students. However, for some, this is the only breakfast that they have available to them. We should be providing a nutritious one, specifically eliminating items with high added sugars. Thank you for your time.
Our next speaker.
Good evening, board members. My name is Quentin Levesque. Today, I would like to share a very real opportunity that we have before us, a chance to provide all of our students with equitable civic learning opportunities, a chance to give a voice to students and by extension to families that have been voiceless for generations. As you may know, the cornerstone of democracy rests on the foundation of an educated electorate. Why then are civic and democratic commitments often absent from districts' local control accountability plans? Why then do 87% of all districts in the state not mention civics, citizenship, or democracy? Why then do more than 5 million of California's 6 million students attend schools in districts that do not articulate a substantial focus on civic engagement? Evidence shows that civic education raises young people's knowledge, skills, and dispositions and supports them in becoming active citizens as adults. The data I have just outlined underscores the need for all of our students to have access to leadership activities and resources, not just the top performers. Our firm champions the idea that when young people activate their voices, they can be the most among the strongest change agents in our communities. That is why we want to partner with you to provide an exclusive educational platform, Fast Track Capital, to connect your students into the state lawmaking process so they may engage with current legislation and connect with their lawmakers, build industry-specific knowledge, establish relationships with elected officials, and have their voices heard. With cutting-edge technology and a plethora of different resources and tools, students can actively participate in California's lawmaking process. Our platform reinforces the state's history and social science standards for 11th and 12th graders. It also helps students qualify for the State Seal of Civic Engagement. It provides greater access to important state services and also empowers local voices to be heard at the state level. I have sent you all additional emails.
Finish the sentence, please.
Yes, sir. I have sent you all additional emails containing information. We already partner with school districts in the state and want you to take advantage of this opportunity. Our firm is located here locally. So
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That is all of the public comment for this evening. We now move to the consent calendar. Are there any board members that wish to remove any items from the consent calendar? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve items G1 through G10? Moved by Ms. Creason, seconded by
Second.
Ms. Vasquez. It has been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, it is unanimous. We now move to the business items. Item 1 is summer learning. Ms. Schnepp and Ms. Amberly Stein. Along with.
Good evening, Dr. McKibben, members of the board, Superintendent Kern, and Ms. Cunningham. Tonight, the superintendent is recommending that the board hear the report on summer learning opportunities for 2022. Our amazing team put together some highlights, including a few videos focusing on the innovative programs and opportunities that occurred this summer for our students. We were able to use ELO, ESSER, and Title I funds to support students with academic and social emotional needs. And in an effort to be truly responsive, our sites were also given local control to determine what actions and opportunities they felt their students needed. We have a team with us tonight, and first off is going to be Brett Wolf, who will be sharing an overview of our summer programs.
Good evening, President McKibben, members of the board, Superintendent Kern, and Ms. Cunningham. We are excited to be here tonight to share all of the wonderful things that we're able to accomplish this summer with our offerings for students at all grade levels. As we reflected on all of the programs we offered for students, we were able to place a vast array of offerings into 4 buckets. They were foundational, they were enrichment, it provided readiness and intervention. Before we get into the specifics of all of the programs, we thought it would be good to take a 30,000-foot view of how many students we served, the money we spent, and the budgets we utilized. As you can see from the slide, we served 8,156 students this summer in one of our many offerings. Now, if my math is correct, that's roughly 20% of our total student body that was engaged in some type of learning or activity this summer. At this time, I'd like to introduce Ms. Gwen Dillinger, who will talk to you about the Office of Student Learning and Assistance Programs.
Good evening. The Office of Student Learning Assistance had the privilege of collaborating with 22 school sites to provide relevant and engaging programs to over 2,600 K through 12th grade students. Summer programs were differentiated to support foundational skills, school readiness, enrichment, and intervention. Dedicated staff included teachers, instructional aides, bilingual instructional aides, school community resource assistants, counselors, social workers, nurses, administrators, and student interns. Well over 100 San Juan students ages 14 and above were recruited, interviewed, and placed in each classroom. For many of them, it was their first paid job. They got to experience the responsibility of working with students and carrying out important tasks. It is our hope that many of them will become future educators. The key difference in this year's program was that we collaborated with each site to develop programs aligned to their unique communities and student needs. Rather than offering the same program at a few sites and inviting students to go to a central location, we reached out to sites and asked them if they had the capacity to provide a summer program. The parameters were simple. OSLA would provide the funding and the materials for the selected program design. We would also secure an administrator and help recruit teachers. The sites would select the program objectives, dates, and targeted students. They would personally invite students that would benefit the most from the programs. Sites had a menu of options, including Camp Invention, a hands-on program promoting problem solving through reasoning and language, a coding program selected by a panel of teachers, a VAPA arts program called Arts Attack, which incorporated the cultural aspects of art through teacher-selected lessons, and new this year, a social emotional learning component called Club Kiwi, which taught students how to identify, name, and manage emotions. In addition, some sites chose to completely create their own programs, and some sites used pieces of each or chose to do one or two of them. The feedback about the program design has been overwhelmingly positive. One principal said, "I used to do summer school, but quit because it was so challenging to be at a site that was not mine with students and teachers that did not know me or my expectations. I love the autonomy of doing my own program based on the needs of my students with students and teachers that knew the expectations of the site. I will definitely do this again." Each of the programs was designed to align with the scope of the summer 2022 components, including uplifting foundational skills, providing readiness, intervention, and/or enrichment. Camp Kinder is a readiness program that allows our incoming kinders with little to no prior school experience and oftentimes just beginning to tackle English language proficiency, the opportunity to preview kindergarten. K1 Boost which helps students entering first grade prepare for the change from the kinder environment to one that requires a greater focus for longer periods of time. There was a Montessori program offered at Cottage, which was intervention and enrichment delivered using the Montessori model and developed by teachers at Cottage. Finally, to meet the needs of homeschool students, teachers provided synchronous learning through Zoom using Camp Invention materials. Before we move on to the additional program descriptions, I'd like to share a short video highlighting Camp Kinder.
This summer, dozens of district drum camps are providing students with a number of engaging learning opportunities. This week's summer program highlight focuses on Camp Kinder. More than a dozen families are taking part in this summer's opportunity to help their students prepare for kindergarten with the 8-day Camp Kinder program at Del Paso Manor Elementary School.
Camp Kinder is a mini session before school starts, and it's targeted at students who've had little or no school experience.
The purpose of the camp is to teach students how to acclimate to a school setting, focusing on the schedule of a school day, how to listen to adults they're not familiar with, and how to problem solve.
I think that Camp Kinder is really important because it's right before school starts, so what they're learning right now will stick. But also, lots of students come to school anxious and nervous. They don't really know what to expect, especially if they've never been in a school setting. And so this really puts them at ease so they can have a really successful first day of school.
So far, the incoming students are loving the camp, making friends, and having fun.
Actually start forming friendships, which is really cool. Yesterday, there were some kids holding hands and talking about being besties.
We do activities like put letters on the board and dance. Because I just sit crisscross applesauce. That's why I got karate. I like the school and teachers because they're nice. I'm excited for kindergarten. I love this school.
Okay. The rest of our programs we called Camp Invention Plus. It included elementary, K-8, and middle school sites that developed programs from the menu of options provided. Finally, our multicultural department created 2 programs for emerging bilingual students. One was a Welcoming Newcomers program, which combined readiness and foundational skills to promote familiarity with the San Juan school system and accelerate English language acquisition, while providing primary language support and mentoring. Second was a Pathways program at Encina, targeted toward our multilingual learners needing to pass the English language proficiency assessment and be redesignated as English proficient. Primary language and mentoring was also part of the Pathways session. Each of the OSLA programs was uplifted by the amazing staff that took time from their summer to dedicate to students and families. From nutrition services to our wonderful school office staff, supportive instructional assistants, bilingual instructional assistants, teachers, counselors, additional bilingual support, community outreach administrators, and many more that I can't list. It would go on forever. Everyone made it happen for kids. We thank you and look forward to next year. With that, I'll turn it over to Ms. Cassie Bennett Porter to showcase elementary site-based programs.
Our elementary sites had the opportunity to use ELO funds to develop their own intervention and enrichment programs and offered programs in collaboration with a variety of community partners such as our Parks and Rec, Sequest, and Superior Sports, just to name a few. In total, we had 15 ELO-funded programs at 12 sites that targeted low SES, English learners, students who are chronically absent, as well as students with disabilities. Elementary intervention programs focused on academic areas such as reading, writing, and math. The enrichment programs really allowed students to use creativity and fun with focuses such as STEAM, science, music, gardening, and art. You can see some of our students getting dirty and growing their gardening skills in the photo above on the slide. Okay, another exciting opportunity offered to our elementary students this summer was provided by an important partner, the Aerospace Museum of California. The aerospace camp included 3 one-week-long camps with a week focused on space, 1 week focused on engineering, and 1 week focused on aviation. 100 students were able to participate each week, and we were able to provide meals for the full-day program as well as round-trip transportation from 6 of our elementary sites. I would like to share this short video that gives the viewer a peek into the excitement the kids felt while participating in the Aerospace Museum camp.
This summer, dozens of district-run camps are gearing up to provide students with a number of fun learning opportunities. This week's summer program highlight focuses on the Aerospace Museum of California's summer camp.
3, 2, 1.
And we want to bring back that fun factor, right? We want these kids to come to an inspired place of learning. And that's us, that's the Aerospace Museum.
This summer, the Aerospace Museum of California is hosting 3 themed summer camps: Aviation, Space, and Engineering Camp that will serve nearly 300 San Juan Unified students. The purpose of these camps is to help students think critically while having fun.
You meet them on Monday and you see a huge growth on Friday. They are learning different things from physics to aerodynamics to math.
I see that as a great thing because it's like we're having fun while we're learning. It's like we don't even realize we're learning something.
Each day, campers take part in a new STEM activity, such as speaking with a NASA representative or building their own lunar landers with the goal of protecting their marshmallow astronauts.
It dropped like our own kind of rovers from the balcony. Me and my friends that actually did survive because we would put little marshmallows in it and hope they wouldn't fall out. And after that, we all got to have some marshmallows.
Counselors say they hope students have fun with these enrichment opportunities and learn they can accomplish anything if they keep trying.
Just seeing their face light up when their project works or when it doesn't work and then they find a way to fix it and they finally get past that obstacle that they were working through, that's always the best part for me.
I've learned about space and different types of gravity and where it pulls.
How much stuff there is on different exoplanets, if there are life, if they're habitable.
We got to build our own little mini rocket. The rockets too, because I got to launch mine and mine went far. I love it because it's so fun going into the airplanes and I love doing team stuff.
Okay, I'll now hand it back over to Brett Wolf, who will share about some of our other summer programs, including some of our secondary offerings.
Okay, so new this year was the offering of a middle school CTE summer enrichment program. When the idea of offering CTE classes for middle school students was first presented to us, I sent out a quick email to our CTE teachers and received a positive response from 5 of our teachers. Once we were able to get these commitments from our teachers, we decided we would offer 1- and 2-week classes. As you'll hear in the video, the response we received from the community was incredible and classes filled up within 1 day. Due to the overwhelming positive response, we opened up a few additional sections to accommodate the demand. So we have a short little video to kind of show you some of the students in an auto program, and then I'll share with you a little bit more.
This summer, dozens of district-run camps are gearing up to provide students with a number of fun learning opportunities. This week's summer program highlight focuses on the Career and Technical Education, CTE's, Summer Enrichment Automotive Program for middle school students.
We sent out an email to all the families in the middle grades saying, hey, this is what we've got. Are you interested? And then within one day, our program filled up.
San Juan Unified's Career and Technical Education team set forth to provide the first opportunity for middle school students to get a taste of what CTE courses are available in high school. Through this process, 32 students signed up for the Automotive Summer Program.
I signed up because I thought it would be a good learning experience because I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grow up. And I also thought every day like how cars work.
During the week-long camp, students are given an introduction to shop safety, what tools are commonly used, and they start to learn the basics of engines.
Also learned 4 strokes of engines: intake, compression, power, and exhaust.
We worked on a V8 Hemi the other day, and I learned that Hemi stands for hemisphere because there's half the circle on the piston and then the other half on the top of the valve head.
CTE staff hope that through these summer programs, students will have fun, start to think about what they want to do in the future, and have awareness of our CTE courses.
I really liked taking apart the motor that we did yesterday. It was like a really good experience.
I've gotten engagement, I've gotten fantastic questions, I've even had a couple of them do things like, hey, if I do this, it does this. And I was like, you're right, it does.
The response is so overwhelming that we're going to find a way to continue to do this every summer going forward. So kind of like I said in the video, although we were not really certain what funding will look like this next summer, we definitely are going to find a way to do additional CTE enrichment classes for our middle school students with the hope that students will find a career field that they can pursue when they get to high school. So back again this summer, we were able to offer site-generated middle school enrichment classes at 6 of our middle schools. You can see a partial list of the classes offered, but with over 1,000 students participating, it was a huge success again this summer. Of special note, we were able to take a cohort of Katherine Johnson Middle School students to Sacramento State to participate in a STEM robotics program for 1 week. And as you can imagine, the feedback was very positive, and we'll try to do that again this coming summer. The high schools also offered enrichment classes at 6 of our sites. Some of the classes offered on the screen, but what you will not see is that the students attending these enrichment classes were very much engaged. That was something that was in great interest to them. We were excited to be able to offer an expanded math camp this summer. As you recall from previous presentations, Math Camp is a readiness class that emphasizes a classroom that is collaborative, has students critically thinking to complete tasks, and encourages students to embrace a growth mindset where risk-taking is encouraged. This summer, we changed it and we allowed schools to offer the classes in grade levels where they believe students were needing the most support as opposed to only in grades 3, 6, and 9. And of course, this summer, we offered the 2 programs we offer every summer, the seat-based credit recovery and independent study. As you can see from the slides, our high school students were able to recover a lot of credits. New this year, we offered a West End IM1 class at Encina, so those students would not need to take a bus to Del Campo. And although we did offer transportation from San Juan, Mariloma, and Encina to Del Campo again this summer. One of our findings is that students are feeling more comfortable with online distance learning. And what we found is our independent study program this year surpassed the seat-based program for enrollment. At this time, I'd like to introduce Ms. Vanessa Adelson, who will present our extended year program to you.
This summer, over 1,000 students receiving special education services attended our extended school year program at the various school sites around our district. We were happy to see many of our students were invited and attended programs throughout our district. Extended school year is for special education students receiving services, and it's determined per their IEP on whether or not they'll be attending for that year. The need for ESY services must be determined annually on an individual basis by their individual education plan team. Our ESY is individualized to help students maintain skills and not lose progress towards their goals. Do my best. I pushed the wrong button. This year, we were able to provide support to our staff with 2 days training, along with all the necessary materials in preparation for our ESY. Just to name a few, we were very excited to be able to have the opportunity for our teams to meet prior to the start of this ESY program. At this time, I'd like to turn it back over to Fred.
So like we do every year, at the end of the summer, we look at all of our data. We get student feedback, teacher feedback, and then we start already making plans for the following summer. And so that's where all of our programs are right now. And so this time, we're all up here and able to answer any questions that you may have.
Ms. Fred, yes.
Thanks to the whole team for the presentation. I have 2 questions and then just one comment. My first question is on the high school pieces. So if you could go back to slide 15, I just want to make sure this is, as the slide notes, specific to credit recovery, right? Because I was just surprised to see the large number of independent study, but that's not interest-based. That's purely.
That's all students that have flunked a class and or got a D that we need to remediate.
And do we have a sense of just a breakdown by grade level? Is this mostly juniors trying to get, or is it seniors as well? Do you have a general sense? I'd just be curious for a breakdown.
I've seen the grade level breakdown and I don't recall.
That's fine if you didn't commit it to memory.
Sophomores and juniors are probably
okay.
Comprised the biggest amount, then seniors and freshmen, of course.
That's helpful. And that didn't match my assumption. Right. So I appreciate that. And there's no limitations that we've come up with, like on both the seat-based and the independent study for these, we were able to accommodate every student that needed it.
So we don't turn students away. So I can talk about the seat-based. So the seat-based were really limited. They can take 2-3 week sessions, so 10 credits total. Years ago, before we had the Apex, we were really basically said we don't want to have students take more than 10 credits. But as you know, the Apex is a program that if a kid has already flunked the class, then we do something we call a prescriptive course where the students can test out. And so a lot of times we find in the high school, the students aren't necessarily flunking the standards. They may be flunking maybe a grading policy. So the students can go through some of the courses pretty quickly just by showing competency in the standards. And so, you know, if a student can get through the course, say in a week, and they're ready to take another one, we've let them move on.
Great, that's helpful. Thank you for helping me understand that further. My second question is just a pretty general one, but it goes back to the data in particular, because I know this is very robust participation, which is very exciting. I'm wondering how it compares to last year. I know our summer school looked fairly different, but had large participation as well. And so if you, again, apologies for putting you on the spot, but I'm just curious if there's a rough comparison to how participation compared to last year was.
Yeah, so like I mentioned during the presentation, so our seat-based numbers used to be pretty big. Like we were upwards 700-800 students. And what we found is that the students, they found that, you know, they're comfortable doing online programs, if you will. So Apex. And so our enrollment has shifted into the independent study and a little bit away from the seat-based. So our seat-based numbers were actually lower than what we've had previously. So.
And I meant specific to just the entire summer school program, not specific to credit recovery.
They were right about the same.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, so, and what happens is this, and so I'm probably sharing way too much. I apologize, but counselors will register for students. And so they'll register every student that is flunked the class. And so our initial enrollment's really, really high. And then we used to make phone calls. Sometimes, a lot of times, students aren't even aware that they're enrolled. So then it drops. And so this is the students that actually began a course.
Okay, thank you. And then my last comment is more just a remark, but loved the piece entirely around kind of middle school CTE in general. I feel like with our CTE programs in particular, we've fallen into a bit of a chicken and an egg pattern where we have declining enrollment because it's student interest based, but the students don't know it's there. So then it perpetuates that cycle. And I love the emphasis of starting earlier. Hopefully that helps to start to crack at that problem a little bit, but more importantly, finds new ways to engage our students. So thank you again to the entire team, and I appreciated the presentation.
I just want to add real quick. Gwen did tell me
please.
that the elementary program was 3 times as large.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Gwen.
I didn't hear that.
Congratulations.
3 times as large as the elementary.
Elementary.
Thank
So
you.
ours
Thank
was about the same. They grew quite a bit.
That's huge. Congratulations.
Mr. Hernandez.
Thank you. Mr. Wolf, I just want to compliment you that that the program is evolving and it's evolving around interest. You know, I see the middle school, very impressed on the programs that are involved at the middle school, but we're listening to what's out there as well. And we're implementing this interest-based education. And so I compliment you and your staff and everybody involved and encourage you all to continue to be able to adjust to what's out there and what that interest is. I read a report not long ago that a pilot now is one of the highest paid professions, even passing a medical doctor. And we don't have enough pilots. And so, you know, it's encouraging that we offer that aviation program. So let's continue with that. I think it's phenomenal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Costa.
I would also like to second, the idea of interest-based is just, I think, the way to go for our kids. And the number of different opportunities that were available just really made, I think, a huge difference for our whole school community. But in particular, I loved the junior CTE program, and I can't wait to see the impact of that as those middle school students go into high school and how that impacts their choice of CTE programs. So I hope we'll get a report back about that as those middle school kids actually get into high school and what their interests are based on that. So that's one. And the credit recovery, I think when I looked at the numbers, I'm sorry we had that many, but I'm also really grateful we had a place for those kids to go and that kids had their needs met. So to the whole team, thank you so very much. Really an outstanding program this year.
Ms. Costa, let me speak, I think, a little bit to that middle school CTE. That was kind of a late idea, I think, that Ms. Basnelli had, and she kind of challenged Brett to put something together. And from what I've heard in reaching, there were probably some CTE teachers who were like, you're crazy, I'm not teaching middle school kids. And the feedback I'm getting is you already have some of those other programs that may not have partnered this year that are already saying, count me in next summer. So that's exciting to think. And I think it even goes to your point about interest-based or just trying different things. And when we try something like that and we continue, and, you know, as you said, Mr. Hernandez, you know, we're getting ready to launch a CTE aviation program at Mara Loma. We're going to continue to, you know, advance those programs, but allowing those kids exposure early on is really, I think, a brilliant idea that we need to tap into more and more.
Now, Ms. Christie.
Thank you for the report. First, I learned what Hemi standed for. I owned a Hemi engine at one point in my life, and I had no idea that that's what it meant. So I learned something new today. One question and a couple of comments. I thought I heard you say that one of the programs, I think maybe the CTE programs, filled up like on the first day. So were there wait lists?
So there were wait lists, and then what we did was we basically just got second sessions. So the computer science, we ended up getting an afternoon session.
Awesome.
And then with the, I believe automotive, we extended the session and we did the same thing with construction.
So ultimately, at the end of the day, everyone that wanted to get in got in.
We got everybody.
That's fabulous that you were able to pull that off. That's really great news.
I bribed them.
We do what we got to do. I appreciate that approach. It was really great to hear you say what you said about CBE, the competency-based education lens, with credit recovery. I've said it once and I'll say it again, that is a lens that higher education, post-secondary education is taking too. Just because you don't pass a certain test doesn't mean you don't have the competency to do whatever you're supposed to be able to do. So it was really great to hear you say that out loud, and that's, an approach we're taking, because it makes a whole lot of sense. The goal isn't that you can test well. That's not what we need our kids. That's not going to land them a good job at the end of the day. It's, can you do this stuff? What's your competency level? So that was just fabulous. And I appreciated hearing that. A couple of thoughts on the or CTE programming. Love that we're, talking to the young folks first, because they just make decisions about where they're going to go to high school come so early. And if you get that interest going earlier, then, the options widen up for our kids. And it's a great way to raise awareness, by saying, here's an opportunity to see for yourself. So I'm so glad that we're introducing the young folks earlier. And I think we should do more of that. I definitely appreciate interest-based, but I also want to caution too, that I really would like for us to focus on high road jobs, good jobs with family supporting wages and benefits that are in high demand. And that I really want us to focus our investments there, which I know that we're doing a whole lot of that. And I want us to continue doing that, because so that I think about, of course, we want to keep kids motivated, right? We want them to show up and have something to look forward to. At the same time, and it's kind of going towards what my colleague was mentioning, Ms. Viesquez, they don't know what they don't know too. So it's like, well, how can you be interested in something when you really don't know what it is? And there's a whole lot of really good jobs in that category. The workforce shortage is so real. So just my hope is that we do more of that, and we invest in providing our kids with that foundation and raising their awareness, really just uplifting what's really out there and what that means for their bankroll later. What kind of lifestyle do they want to live, and how much is that going to cost, and what kind of job is going to give you that? I think it's really important. So I think I'll leave it up there, but that was a wonderful, wonderful report. So thank you for that.
Well, I possibly be coming back in the spring to give you an update on CTE, which I could spend a lot of time with, but I'll get in a lot of trouble, get the hook. So I'll stop.
I cannot wait for that.
I think one of the other things, just so the board is aware, we do, you're changing up the way we used to have our CTE evening, where we would have.
You want me to talk about it?
Yeah, do it in 30 seconds.
No, but I'll try.
Okay, go for it.
Do it.
So in the past, we did the CTE Expo at La Sierra Community Center in the evening. One of the things we found is a great event. Teachers worked really hard, but we only had just a limited number of students. And so, as we're talking about barriers, we left after the last time. We said, there are a lot of students that aren't able to get this. And so when we think about equity, access, and removing barriers, so this year we're going to do it during the school day. It's in November. We're going to bus. It's never been done before in San Juan Unified that we know of. We're going to bus every 8th grader to Citrus Heights Community Center. We're going to get all these subs for the day for these teachers to go over there. And we're going to have every 8th grade student in the district rotate through every single pathway in the district before open enrollment is over.
When is that happening?
It's in November.
Can someone invite me?
You'll be invited.
I want to go on the bus. Okay, well, I'll be helpful too.
Was that quick enough?
That's wonderful. I think that's a tremendous opportunity, because of course the access and transportation is huge, but if we make it as part of the school day, which it really is, right? Like that is part of our ultimate mission. We'll get them there. That's wonderful. Thank you. Okay, I'm done. Okay.
One of the things that we learned last summer was that the whole idea of fun and exciting, and I think you emphasized that. But and I noticed on slide 5 that you talked about teacher-created programs and so forth. How much of the coursework in this summer learning program was about things that were exciting? I remember the Lego courses. I remember the guitar, the cigar box guitars and that sort of thing. Was there much of that kind of thing done in this year's summer? Because it got rave reviews last summer.
Yes, the camp invention models included spacecation, robotic aquatics. Oh my gosh, an attic, an attic unit where students went up into an attic and they found things and they created stories. So it was the same essential program that we've done last year, in years past with Camp Invention. The difference was that we allowed teachers and site administrators to add on art or socio-emotional component or coding if they wanted to. But several of them stuck with our old model of that Camp Invention, which is tried and true and hands-on and kids collaborating. You saw that on some of the pictures. So we did not let that go. We just added on to it.
Second question, thank you. That's what I was hoping you. The second question relates to, you noted in your slides a couple of places that you provided transportation from like 6 sites and things like that. How much do we know how much of the need we fulfilled by having the buses there, and how much were they utilized?
So the buses were provided for the aerospace camps, and we picked up at 6 sites and dropped off at 6 sites each day. 300 students participated, but you didn't have to attend that site to take the bus from that site. So if you lived, we tried to place the buses east, central, and west so that any kid who needed to ride the bus could ride the bus back and forth. And they were well attended. We provided transportation to every student who needed it, and several utilized it.
And were those places where you needed to add any buses or that's a thing, or that didn't get that high?
Well, because there were so many buses running and only 300 students, the buses were large enough to accommodate everybody. Yeah. And we had instructional assistants riding the buses to and from with the kids, and it was nice.
You could have had Zima.
That's true.
Yeah, I should have told you about it.
Put me on the list.
This is a tough question, and I don't want this to turn into a gotcha, but because I know how hard it is to prove a negative. One of the things we know a lot about is that the danger of particularly high school students, but frankly at all levels, getting off track and getting so off track that they can't get back on track. And so I was wondering, looking at the credit recovery numbers and that sort of thing. And this is where the negative, do we know how many people could have taken these courses that didn't, that they decided that they just wanted their summers off and that sort of thing? And how did we contact the people that were well off track and really needed to get a particular standard or that sort of thing? So you see what I mean by, I want to know an answer, but I don't know if there is one.
Well, I mean, I can tell you, I mean, so it's really easy just to go through and query which students are not on track for graduation. In fact, we're just recently prepared a report that we're going to be, I think, sharing, I think this Thursday, maybe, that basically demonstrates that. But so we know exactly how many students we have. Like you said, a lot of students say, I'm just not going to do it. You know, that there's a lot of students that I think that are still hoping that we throw out that safety net that we've done the last couple of years with the 130 grad rule. Then what we do those, we notify them first through an email. That seems to be the most easy way to get a hold of people. The dialer is not usually that successful. Then what we do for the students that are enrolled and the teachers that are assigned to these students, then they call them home and just really try to recruit them to come in. We do the same thing, kind of like what we do with independent study. So the students that may show up for a day, they don't come, then we try to re-engage them. And then, you know, some students just decide not to come back. So we have those numbers. So not at my disposal tonight, but I mean, they're available.
And do the parents know that the students are saying no?
Yeah, I mean, as you kind of imagine, I mean, there are a lot of parents say, hey, you know what, we're trying, we need you to kind of encourage our kid. You know, we have counselors available all summer at both the seat-based and the independent study program. So we're doing everything we can to try to pull these students through. But, you know, we're basically doing everything we can short of dragging them there.
Okay. Oh, that's enough. I'll stop there. Thank you very much for this presentation.
Well, and I just want to thank our whole entire team, you know, Melissa Bassanelli leading us. So just thank you.
Okay. We'll move now to our next business item, I2. Thank you very much for this great report.
Good evening, Board President McKibben, members of the board, Superintendent Kern, and Ms. Cunningham. Tonight, I'm joined by the amazing Dyer Kelly team who has been working tirelessly on this very unique grant in service of their students and in their staff. This is an action item this evening, and we are requesting approval for the modification to the Early Literacy Action Plan, which they will share with you this evening. I now would like to pass it over to Principal Jamal Hicks from Dyer Kelly to the podium and let him share the presentation.
Thank you very much, Amberly. The Early Literacy Block Grant is the result of a lawsuit that lays the way for 75 California elementary schools to share $50 million in state grants and improve reading and writing instruction. Research shows that if students aren't reading at grade level by the third grade, they could struggle to catch up throughout their educational careers and can be at a greater risk of dropping out of school and ending up in the criminal justice system. I look into the eyes of every student that enters my campus each day, and they are not a statistic. The students at Dyer Kelly have hopes, dreams, and a desire, a life that has meaning. My incredibly dedicated staff has worked endlessly for years to ensure that each student has the same access as our more affluent schools do. This grant provides the tools for our most marginalized students to access the curriculum at their grade level. Dyer Kelly applied and received over $600,000 to develop a 3-year literacy action plan. The initial phase started in the year 2020, 2021 with a needs assessment and a root cause analysis. With that being said, I would like to introduce Heather Brandt, our grant liaison, and she will discuss this process.
Thanks, Jamal. The grant action plan is set to be implemented over the course of 3 years, and that also includes a planning year, making it a total of 4 years in duration. The planning year took place in 2020 to 2021. Then a literacy action team was created made up of Dyer Kelly site administrators, teachers, staff, and community members. That team conducted a needs assessment and root cause analysis that was guided by the Sacramento County Office of Education. The outcomes indicated that a majority of Dyer Kelly students were unable to decode complex grade level texts by the end of 3rd grade. The needs were identified in areas of foundational skills instruction and common assessment site-wide. Four areas of focus for implementation emerged from the needs assessment. And just to clarify, the 3 implementation years, year 1 was in 21-22 last school year. Year 2 is the current 22-23 school year. And year 3 will take place in 23-24. And over the 3-year course of implementation, there will be 4 focus areas identified by the action team. The first area is literacy coaching. The second is teacher learning in the area of language essentials for teachers of reading and spelling. And that's a professional learning for teachers on the fundamentals of reading instruction. The third will be selection of supplemental curriculum. And the fourth, looking at the school schedule. So Roxanne, the vice principal at Dyer Kelly, will join or come up and discuss in further detail the implementation actions from last year and this current implementation year 2.
Thank you, Heather. So as Heather mentioned, this program actually is focused on 4 specific areas over the next 3 years, starting last year, continuing into next. Our first area was a focus on our literacy coaching. At Dyer Kelly, we were actually able to partner with an outside organization called CORE. SCOE is currently also partnering with them to help us. Oh, thank you, Heather, to help us with our needs. The first area that they helped us target was the need for increased instruction for our teachers around how to teach the fundamentals of reading. The second one was an increased need for systematic phonics instruction. And the last identified need was a need to increase in ELA instructional minutes in a continuous block of time, as well as intervention minutes, K-3. As we go into this year, we're actually having discussions around what literacy coaching looks like at Dyer Kelly. We've had a wonderful relationship with CORE, but we're starting to think about how do we build internal capacity for the site. Once this grant sunsets next year, we know that those needs will still be there. And so that's an ongoing conversation we're having for the 2022-2023 implementation year. The second area of the 4 focus areas is letters learning. As Heather mentioned, we started engaging with the school district's TOSA staff around how our teachers could develop their own fundamentals around literacy instruction in order to do better by our students. Our TOSAs facilitated instruction K-3 with our teachers, and they focused on specific areas for learning, specifically around phonemic and phonological awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, comprehension, writing, and language. As we move into this year, we're continuing that work. As a matter of fact, each month our teachers are engaging in 2 hours of continuous learning with us. And we're also spending time every single month discussing what this looks like in our classrooms, how it's functioning for our teachers, and what adjustments we need to make. The third area of implementation has to do with supplemental curriculum. Based on that needs assessment, we were able to target, our teachers were really good about actually identifying the fact that we needed a very systematic approach to phonics instruction. And so with that, we were able to identify 95% core program, which is actually a program that supplies curriculum for both core instruction in the classroom around phonics, as well as materials for intervention as we look at helping kids where they're at based on their specific needs at the time of instruction. For this year, we're actually implementing that. At the beginning of the school years, we were able to actually do some curriculum and training around that with our staff. Then we were also able to utilize shared assessment data in which we collectively agreed to use the 95% curriculum assessment. That helped us build our instructional groups. And that data is actually being reflected on every 6 to 8 weeks. So we're looking at the efficacy of the program, as well as how it's impacting our students' growth towards grade level standards. The last of the 4 focus areas is actually around scheduling. Our core consultant that we worked with was able to help us identify the need to increase the continuous number of minutes in an ELA block. Prior to this, it was a little bit scattered. Some teachers had 20 minutes here, 25 minutes there. But what ends up happening is that a depth of knowledge isn't really attainable in such a short period of time. So what we did was we consolidated that. Last year, a new master schedule was retooled to increase our continuous instructional minutes in ELA to 50 minutes. Also, we were able to identify 30-minute increments throughout the school day so that all students are participating in a universal access time where that intervention is specifically given to them based on their need. And that's what we're doing this year. We're actually facilitating and working that schedule. And we're seeing it every hour, on the hour, in the classrooms, beyond the classrooms, in our hallways. The instruction is happening. As we start talking about the final year of implementation, there's a lot of thought and reflection we're doing. And so with that, I'm going to pass it back to Jamal to talk about our steps moving forward.
Thank you, Roxanne. Our overall goal is to utilize the components of the grant to get students reading at their grade level in order to decrease the pipeline to prison pathway. It is our duty to elevate our students and give them access, which will ultimately result in improved student outcomes. Dyer Kelly is very appreciative of the support from our district. The district is showing that when we invest in our most marginalized students, we desire a positive future. Thank you for being that leader for change. This is an action item tonight. We're updating the board on the progress of the grant and requesting approval for the modification of our literacy grant. I would now like to turn it over to President McKibben and the board for questions.
Questions or comments from the board?
Second.
It's been moved and second. Is there any further discussion? Did you?
I was just thankful for the report.
Okay, all right.
It was great.
It has been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you very much for this
You're
outstanding.
welcome. Thank you.
We would now move to I3. This is a public hearing, sufficiency of textbooks and instructional materials.
Good evening again, everyone. The superintendent is recommending that the board hold a public hearing to discuss and adopt Resolution 4038, stating that each pupil has sufficient textbooks and instructional materials. After reviewing textbooks, professional learning, and curriculum innovation, the department is able to certify that the district does have sufficient textbooks.
Questions? Questions from the board?
Public hearing.
And this is public hearing first, right?
Correct.
Thank you. Read your notes, Mike. I declare the topic of sufficiency of textbooks and instructional materials a public hearing and is now open for public comment. Do we have any speaker cards on this item? We do not. This is an action item. Do we have any questions from the board?
Can I make a comment?
We have Ms. Creason.
I just want to take a second to acknowledge some feedback that we've been receiving from community, which makes a whole lot of sense. There's questions about why isn't a laptop, technology considered a required instructional material? And I agree with that sentiment. We're not funded to do that, right? And I know that, technology goes out of date super fast. And so I know that there's a whole lot of reasons why we don't do that now. But I also want to acknowledge a lot of folks are coming out with those questions. And I could see, so some folks look at the board meeting like, well, they may not feel heard by seeing this language, but based on what we're required, this makes a whole lot of sense. I think that there is agreement within, at least I'll just speak for myself. I agree that I hope that education can be funded in a way and change with the times, because I do believe that having access to technology, updated technology, it should be a requirement. It should be part of the instruction, the learning, because kids that do have that technology at home do have a leg up on others that do not. So just wanted to acknowledge that, but I totally understand why not just us, education is not prepared to provide that as is, but something that we should all, maybe work together to advocate for to get there.
Is there a motion to adopt Resolution 4038 stating that each pupil in each school in the district has sufficient textbooks and instructional materials in each subject that are consistent with the content and cycles of the curriculum framework adopted by the state board?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Creason,
Second.
seconded by Ms. Costa. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, it is unanimous. Thank you very much. We now move to item I4, proposed revisions to board policy and exhibit 0420.41, charter school oversight. Mr. Gittner.
Good evening, President McKibben, members of the board, Superintendent Kern, Ms. Cunningham. The superintendent is recommending the board discuss the proposed changes to board policy 0420.41, charter school oversight, and its accompanying exhibit. Board policies are often updated to reflect new or updated practices in school systems. This board policy review is focused on district oversight for charter schools. The changes to BPO 42041 focus on district responsibilities and their oversight. on how the charter school needs to communicate with districts when requesting waivers from the State Board of Education, services from the district, reporting to state, and making material revisions to the charter. The remainder of the document is reorganization and more precise language. The exhibit part is probably the part that has changed the most. There were about 28 directives before. That is now changed to 85 directives in 18 categories for charter schools. This has been communicated with all the charter schools that we're updating to reflect CSBA recommendations. I did not receive any feedback from the charter schools on that. And then whenever this gets approved, or if it gets approved, we will make sure that the charter schools have copies of it as well.
Do any board members have questions or comments on this item?
He answered the question.
Okay. I'm just checking to see, make sure this wasn't an action item.
Nope, it's a discussion item.
And it wasn't. Thank you very much for this report. We now move to item I5, tentative agreement with the San Juan Professional Educators Coalition. Mr. Thigpen.
Good evening, President McKibben, board member Superintendent Kern, and Ms. Cunningham. I'm here tonight to I would like to present for your discussion tonight and do nothing to prevent it. The tentative agreement between the San Juan Professional Educators Coalition and the San Juan Unified School District. Quick update, we do have here from SJPEC that 99% of their voting members have ratified this agreement as of tonight. And at this time, I can answer any questions you have.
Are there any questions? Didn't know whether you were scratching or.
Oh, no questions.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Seeing no questions, this item will come back on October 11th, as will the next four.
Yes.
And thank you for this one. Mr. Thigpen, would you like to go to the next item, number 6?
Yes, this is the tentative agreement between the San Juan Teachers Association and the school district. We also have from SJTA that 98% of their voting members have ratified this agreement as of this afternoon.
Questions from the board? Again, this item comes back on October 11th. Number 7.
This one is the tentative agreement with our San Juan Supervisors Association and the school district.
Again, questions, comments? Okay. And again, this comes back on October 11th.
Correct. I-8, our next tentative agreement this evening is with the California School Employees Association in the school district. Happy to take any questions you may have.
Okay, looking again. I see none. This item also will come back on October the 11th. And number 9.
This final one is not a tentative agreement, but actually a request for authorization to make salary schedule adjustments for our confidential unit and unrepresented employees throughout the district. The terms of this are outlined similar to what you saw in the tentative agreements with our bargaining unit partners.
Any questions on the adjustments and comments? Seeing none, thank you very much for your report, and we'll see you on October the 11th.
Thank you.
We now move to item J, board reports. Are there any board reports? Okay, I have only one, and that is that I attended the college days related to the historical Black colleges and universities. And it was great after a couple of years, great to see those folks back and to see some familiar faces and so forth. But the one thing that I was struck with was one more time, the people who were in the audience that have done such a great job of becoming partners with us. For example, Project Optimism, and representatives of the historic Black colleges and universities from the neighborhood. And I wanted to thank particularly Dr. Calvin and her team for putting this on together. It really does show how much the cliche related to it takes a village is, and to watch the people doing that, and to walk around and watch these students, in fact, in a couple of cases, actually being offered admission and scholarships on the spot is really an amazing thing to see happen in this kind of occasion. And it really does help us meet our commitment to equity in this district. So thank you very much for that opportunity to watch that and see that happen and be part of that. Thank you. Our next item is future agenda items. Do any of the board members wish to add things to the agenda? Seeing none, we do not need to go back to closed session. This meeting is adjourned.